let's talk about the team that you're wearing on your head right now. That's the University of Michigan. Play this out for me. How do you want this to go? How should Michigan fans want this to go?
Early on, everybody was excited because, well, not necessarily excited because Ohio State moonwalked into the playoffs, but excited for the opportunity for Ohio State and Michigan to face each other in the national title at SoFi. Excited, especially as Michigan fans, to actually absolutely have the chance to destroy Ohio State's program, to punish them, bury them as they're already on the fritz. But you know what? After a couple thoughts, after a couple days and more thinking, that's not what I want, and that's not what any Michigan fan should want. You know why, Ryan? In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. Mm-hmm. In order to be, there you go, nice drop right there. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. Last time I checked, the reigning defending national champion was Georgia. Last time I checked, Georgia embarrassed Michigan in the Orange Bowl last year. They really did do a number on Michigan. Last time I checked, for the majority of this year, Georgia has been the number 1 seed in the country. Last time I checked, Georgia is the number 1 seed in the country currently. Right now, they are the team that people are saying no one can beat. They don't believe in Michigan. They don't believe in Ohio State because Michigan trounced Ohio State. And they don't believe in TCU. They think TCU is there just to show some love to the Big 12. I'm telling you this. Michigan fans should clamor at the chance to play Georgia. They should clamor at the chance to beat Georgia, because you don't want to hear something like Georgia loses to Ohio State, and all of a sudden people say, well, you know what? They didn't beat Georgia. They beat Ohio State again. And you know what? Georgia wasn't ready for Ohio State. It wasn't their fault. They backed in. They beat them. They had nothing to play for. You didn't beat Georgia. I don't want any of that. I don't want anything to deter Michigan going 15-0 and winning the national championship. I don't want any side conversation. I don't want any you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Well, he wasn't. I don't want any of that. I want Michigan to play the best, and the best is Georgia. It will, 1, give you retribution for last year, well, technically earlier this January, and 2, you will have gone through the team that is the heir apparent to Alabama's dominance in the college football playoff. Bring on Georgia and bring them on now. Well, after TCU.
I don't think that could be understated, Braylon, because Michigan already beat Ohio State. They're done.
We're done.
Not only did they beat Ohio State, they now beat them 2 years in a row, and they went down to Columbus and manhandled
22
them.
points.
So whatever. Ohio State, bye-bye.
Finito.
Don't need to see you anymore. And Georgia, universally, is recognized as the clear-cut number 1 team in the country, and everybody else is
2 years in a row
after them. And rightfully so. They've earned that title. So if you go and you beat that team, well, then I think nobody can take anything away from you. And again, look at Michigan's position where they are right now. How many people, and it always goes back to this for me, I think, because I do think I'm one of the rare people that don't care about the non-conference.
Right.
How many people are going to look at Michigan's preseason schedule if they went through and won back-to-back Big Ten championships, beat Ohio State on the road, beat an unbeaten TCU team with a Heisman candidate at quarterback, and go ahead and beat Georgia in a national championship game? Will Michigan fans raise their hand? Will Michigan State fans raise their hand? Will all the college football pundits raise your hand and say, but you didn't play anybody in the non-conference? Nobody's going to say that. Nobody cares.
100%. TCU almost undefeated. They did have the one loss to Kansas State.
Oh, yeah, Kansas State.
Yeah, but even with that,
12-0.
And that's what I'm saying. You're 100% correct. You got to beat Georgia. Georgia's the one team you got to go through. You go through Georgia, nobody can say anything. Remember when they were talking about Michigan State, and this isn't about Michigan State, so pipe down, green and white fans. Remember when they were saying Mel Tucker understands the transfer portal? You know what? You don't have to understand the transfer portal when you win. You don't have to understand. Michigan right now is the number 1 team in the transfer portal. Just last year, they didn't know what they were doing in the transfer portal, according to pundits. But when you win, and people see you win on national TV consistently, well, now kids want to transfer to your school. You don't even have to know how to work the transfer portal. Also, if Michigan beats Georgia, when Michigan beats Georgia, you're going to have all these 5 stars like, wait, they beat Georgia? I might have to flip my commitment. I might have to think about going to Michigan. You know what? It's actually not that cold in November. Because, the last game is around Thanksgiving. Now you have people starting to have that conversation. You can get the 5 stars. You can get the transfer portal kids. You can get all that. Even the NIL deal stuff. It will come. Winning takes care of it all. Lloyd Carr said this so many times, and I've said it so many times. When you win, everybody wins. That means the front office wins, and then for their front office, it's the scouting department. When you win, that means the coach wins. When you win, that means you have All-Americans. Blake Corum, the 31st unanimous All-American in Michigan history. When you win, everything across the board, they win. Michigan has to play Georgia. That's what I'm calling. That's what I want.
You know what they might say, Ryan? They might say, this is how you win a national championship game. You take it easy in the beginning of the season. You maybe rest a quarterback. You might put a quarterback in one game, put another one in another game, and once Big Ten rolls around, you find your quarterback and you roll from there. It might be the new way of trying to win a national championship, and you can give it to Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines for maybe changing the narrative on how to win a national championship game.
But again, if you look at these future schedules too, I mean, next year they don't play anybody. I think they play. I'd have to pull up their schedule, but I think they do have a game in 24 that you would consider as a pretty good non-conference game. At the same time, when USC and UCLA come into this conference, you hope the conference is going to be better. Why would you schedule Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, or anybody else not in your conference in the non-conference?
And by the way, have to deal with all those other teams.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Don't want to do that. Paul here, the WoodwardSports.com chat. Let's not try to get salty back in here. Ohio State doesn't matter anymore. Ohio State doesn't matter anymore in 2022.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. You have already played Ohio State. You played them there. You beat them. You beat them there. You don't need to worry about Ohio State until 2023. Listen, that's where I was going with that. Just want to clarify that.
There are people that are waiting to hang on everywhere and try to search. Oh, there it is. No, what do you mean you don't have? No, look, Ohio State doesn't matter like you said right now. Pay attention to what we're saying, not what you want us to say. We're saying that Ohio State, we've already dealt with that. University of Michigan's already taken care of Ohio State. They beat them by 22 in the horseshoe. They're not worried about that right now. You want to beat Georgia. You want to play against Georgia because right now Georgia is the favorite by everybody. Everybody's saying Michigan doesn't have a chance. TCU doesn't have a chance. Excuse me. And neither does Ohio State.
Braylon, today is National Signing Day, and I did want to mention this about that because there were so many times over the last few years, if you're a Michigan fan, you were glued to the computer. You were glued to your phone to see how many 5 stars you got, how many 4 stars you got. It was the biggest day on the calendar for a lot of Michigan football fans because you wanted to see if you were able to compete with the Ohio States of the world, with Penn State, with Alabama, with, insert X, Y, and Z team up here. It's not a big day anymore. I mean, it is. I don't want to minimize recruiting because this whole thing is recruiting. But when you are winning, when you are developing talent, this day to me is far down on the pecking order from where it used to be for me because of the back-to-back Big Ten championships and, as you pointed out, the transfer portal. The guys that they get today, I mean, it's great. Yeah. But if you want to worry about next season, you're going to worry about some 18-year-old freshman. You want some 350-pound fifth-year senior offensive tackle that you're going to get from, Arizona State or whatever.
Yeah, or this year, look at who won the Remington. Right. That was Oluwatimi. Oluwatimi was a transfer.
That's exactly
he wasn't a 5-star coming out. Listen, there are teams that won with 5 stars. We understand Alabama has led the charge in that. Georgia has started to follow suit. They're now number 2. Ohio State is number 3 in terms of 5 stars. Michigan's had a couple here and there. Michigan has 2 5 stars on the team. They got J.J. McCarthy and they have Donovan Edwards. Outside that, a bunch of 4s and 3s, but that's how they built their team. They built their team with a ton of 4 stars. They don't necessarily need the 5 stars, and this is going to sound crazy, but sometimes you don't need the 5 stars because sometimes you try to get the 5 stars and then you try to fit them into your system, or then you try to change your system to fit the 5-star guy. You got a system that's working for you. You're getting kids that believe in Michigan, they believe in team, they believe in family, they believe in each other, they believe in those who stay. Everything that you preach, everything that we said wasn't going to work, everything that we say, Jim's got to change that sales pitch. He's got to change it up a little bit so he can compete. Jim told us to F off. And he's right, because it works for him. Don't change that system chasing after 5 stars. If they want to come to your school, great. If you can get them in your school, great. But don't try to change your system to fit a 5-star, mess your system up, and then that 5-star change. Stay with what you have going on right now. If we don't get the 5 stars now, that's okay, because we will. Because that linebacker from Nebraska, oh my God, and he's a 5-star.
No doubt.